I started off as a classical musician. I started playing the piano when I was 3 years old, and I ended up going to a great music school up in Manchester called Cheetham School of Music. Studying to be a kind of concert pianist and a French horn player and a composer, I was introduced to jazz music when I was about 13 or 14 years old by a great guy called Steve Berry, and he made me a cassette of lots of different jazz musicians. And the first couple of tracks on this cassette really kind of stuck with me. It was a Keith Jarrett tune, two Pat Metheny tunes and a Egberto Gismonti tune. And those four pieces really kind of changed my life in a way, really, because it had everything that I loved about classical music. It had this great kind of power and emotive strength to it. But the freedom of hearing musicians working together and improvising and creating something on the fly was something which I'd never experienced before. But I love this idea that you could just be creating something on the hoof as you go along, and I was really sold by that sort of instantly. When I finished at music school, I went down to the Royal Academy of Music in London, and I studied jazz piano there for 4 years, really. And then kind of, I think for a lot of people, you don't end up really making a conscious decision to be a musician. You kind of end up doing more and more, and then all of a sudden you're making a little bit of money from doing it, and that's how it happened for me, really. It's very humbling to hear these young people really working very hard to get my music together. They just really want to try and make music and do the best that they can with it. And I have to say they've been, you know, they're very young age, really, 18 years and younger, I think, mainly, and they've worked so hard to get this music together, because some of the music we're playing is music that I've worked with professional big bands before. A couple of the tunes I've written specifically for this occasion, but a lot of it is existing music, and you wouldn't know, really, because they've just worked so hard to work on all the difficult passages. This concert actually was the one which was, for me, is the most different from the things that I usually do, so that's a very special thing again, to be working with young people and to sort of work off their energy, because as a professional musician kind of travelling around and doing these kind of things, then it's easy to get into a routine of doing a concert, and actually having 2 days in one place to really work at something where you see people develop as they do it is a very special and, as I say, a very humbling experience. I'm coming back twice again later in the year, once with a good friend of mine, Tom Gould, who's a great virtuoso violinist and a real expert in both the fields of classical music and jazz. So we're going to be looking at some Bach and looking at where the two areas of music combine, because I think a lot of people think that classical music and jazz music, there's no way that they can fit together, or certainly not things apart from Rhapsody in Blue or really seminal pieces like that. But there's a lot that happens. A lot of musicians are really interested in combining the worlds of composed music and improvised music together, and Tom really is one of the absolute best in the world, really, at doing that kind of thing. And at the end of the year, I'm coming back with a very good friend of mine, Rob Buckland, again a wonderful saxophonist who is also very much into this sort of area between the composed and the improvised. And we're going to be playing again some music which, some arrangements of classical music and some original compositions as well. And I know this is going to be a very special concert actually at the end of the year in December, so there's going to be lots of other elements which I'm not going to give away now. I did a project where I played on 50 upright pianos all around the streets and parks of London a couple of years back, playing a piece of music that I'd written, and playing on 50 different upright pianos all around London in a day and a half with 2 dancers. That was a pretty unusual project, so I'll go for that one. Well, sadly I've got too old to be a professional footballer now, but that would have been the one thing I would have liked to have done, but the old hamstrings are not going to last anymore, so I think my days as a Stoke City striker, possibly, the chances are numbered.